Here we go.
Wow.
Oh, it's upside down.
Wow, beautiful.
So that's what we made for you.
That is nice.
We are going to Ohio.
We're fired up. We're going to Woodpecker's factory, and we are going to do an actual tour of the factory. We're going to meet with Rich Hummel, who is the owner, founder, CEO.
And so what we're going to do is we're actually going to make him a sign, and then we're going to ship it to the hotel, and we're going to present it to him. So,
yeah, so we are excited. We've been kind of trying to figure out how we wanted to do this, but I think we got a plan now.
Yeah. So this is what we came up with.
So here's our plan. We've got a lot of live edge slabs, but nothing seemed quite right. Either it was too thin or too thick or wrong color. So what we've decided to do is use redwood. That's what we used to make a lot of tables out of. So we're going to rip these into 2 1/4 inch probably strips, and then glue them all together, and we'll have a really neat looking board that I think will look really cool. And redwood is great because it carves good, it's nice and dry, and it looks great with a finish on it. So that's what we're gonna do. Let's get going.
So we cut these 2x6s at 32 inches long. Now the idea was to make the sign 30 inches long, so we wanted some wiggle room. It's important to remember when you're putting a board together, you're making your own board, whether it's a table or sign or whatever, always make it bigger than you want the final product to be. You can trim stuff off, that's not a big deal, but if you get your board made and then you decide you want it a little bit bigger or you didn't have as much room as you thought, it's really difficult to make it a little bit bigger, but you can always trim some off. Now I know we're gonna get some comments on this right here. Dad uses gloves with his table saw, chop saw, whatever. Dude's been doing this stuff for over 50 years, never had an accident. I trust his judgment. Now, we did cut all the pieces and we put them together, and it just didn't work out all that great. They didn't look good, it wasn't a good match. So Dad ran them through the joiner, and then we did it again, and they matched up way better. Now, before you do your glue up, one thing we always do is we dry fit and then we mark what boards go where. Just because whether it's the grain we like or they just match up better that way, it is a good idea. Dry fit first and then mark your boards. That way you know exactly what the final product's going to look like. Now, this little glue system that we came up with when we were doing tables, when it's hot, this is a good way to do it. Those little brushes, they just take too long. So we pour the glue on the boards and then we just use a glove and we spread it around. And Dad's gonna address the amount of glue he's using here in just a second. But these clamp companions that we got, you guys, these things are amazing, especially if you're doing a really big glue up. This one was fairly small compared to some we've done before, but if you guys do a lot of clamping, especially big ones, check out Clamp Companion. It is awesome.
Okay guys, it's been a couple days. This thing has been glued up and it is plenty dry. We're going to take it off the clamps and go over and flatten it out. Now, when we did this, we didn't set up cauls, so we do have some unevenness, but we've got plenty of thickness there. So my hope is we end up at about 2 inches net. When I glue things up, I want to over glue it because I don't like gaps in there that the black spray or the layout can get down in those gaps and end up with a black spot. So anyway, I use a lot of glue. I know it. I know you guys say I use way too much. Just what I do.
Now, when you're surfacing a board like this, you want to make sure that it's flat. You want to make sure it's not going to go anywhere. So you notice Dad put a little shim on the corner there to keep it from wobbling, and then he used a temporary hold down system that he's been using a long time. We've actually done a few videos on it, and it freaking works great. We're taking off a decent amount of wood here, and if you didn't have that temporary hold down, that board would be moving all over the place, and it would be a safety hazard. So make sure if you're going to surface a board, you got to have that thing tight down to the bench to where it's not going to move. And for this, we use the Woodpecker's surfacing bit, and we have that on the website. That thing is amazing, and it's a helicoil system, so you can actually turn the blades. Now, once it was all surfaced down, Dad just trimmed off the edges and got it to the final size we want, and it was pretty much ready to go once he sanded it off. Another thing to make sure of, we're doing our inkjet transfer process. You gotta have a smooth board, so make sure you sand it off first.
The board's all done, all ready to go. Now we want to figure out what we want to do on the edge. We want to do something different, kind of spectacular. We've done this a couple times on the Batman sign and then a couple other signs. I want a deep chamfer, but way beyond what a router can do. So we're going to set up a straight edge. We're going to use our little handy dandy straight edge and our circular saw, set it at 45 and just cut the edge and get a super deep chamfer on it. I think that's the look I want.
This is a perfect example of measure twice, cut once. We did all the math, at least we thought we did all the math. We made the marks where we want the straight edge to go, and everything was supposed to work out fine. Well, it did not work out fine. This is one of those times where you run into an issue when you're working on something, and it's best just to walk away for a little bit, think about it, and come back. And you'll see exactly what I'm talking about here in just a second. Dad's going to explain it. Just so you guys know, there were a few curse words that we had to edit out of this. It was a bit frustrating.
Back it up. Hitting?
No, we're not coming through.
Well, it's hitting. Oh, it's hitting on the freaking battery. No, it's hitting on the motor. Okay, guys, change of plans. And sometimes that's the way it works. So we made our first cut, and when we got in there a few inches, we realized we had it set too deep, and the motor on the saw was actually catching on a straight edge, so we had to back it off. There was no other alternative. So we actually made our cut almost all the way through, and then we had to finish it up with the samurai saw, which is fine. But then we started looking at it, and we've got kind of a mismatch from the top edge to the bottom edge. And so we're not going to make the end cuts at the 45 like I had originally planned, so that it'll still look really cool, but we don't have to worry about matching the top edge to the bottom edge. And it leaves us a little bit more length to make the logo a little bit bigger. I think it's still going to look cool. It's going to look a little different than I pictured it in my mind, but it's still going to look really good. So the board's all done. Now we're ready to do the layout. So we're going to use the inkjet transfer method, which is kind of our favorite method for getting a logo on the board. We'll leave a link in the description below that will take you to a video to show you start to finish exactly how to do that inkjet transfer. But it's time to do the layout. Let's do it.
Honestly, the inkjet transfer process is a little bit of a pain, but it is definitely the best way to get something really big printed out and put that on your board. Like all of our tables, we did this. It can be kind of time consuming, but it's the best way to go, unless you can draw. If you can draw, all more power to you. I cannot draw to save my life. So this really is a good way to go. And like Dad said, I'll put a link in the description below for a video that goes through it step by step, because it's kind of an involved process. We wanted a certain look for this sign, so we decided that we really wanted to carve it deep. Dad's starting off with a profile bit at 1/4 of an inch deep. Now, a lot of times when it comes to redwood, it can be pretty chippy and also grainy, but this board carved great, so there was no need to start off a little shallow and then go deeper. We went at a full 1/4 of an inch from the get-go. But if you find yourself having a hard time keeping a straight line, then start off shallow, because that's going to create a lot less drag on the router bit, and it's really going to help you to keep a straighter line while you're carving. Now, one way to add kind of something different to your signs is to actually, instead of putting like a frame around it, you make a border like we did here. And it worked out really nice because we have a 2-inch yardstick, and Dad just put one edge on the edge of the board and drew along the other edge. So you know it's 2 inches, you know the lines are straight, and that really does help to kind of set it off. That way you have a couple different looks. You have the deep background, you have the outset letters, and then you have just the regular surface of the board as a border around it. The more kind of depth you give your sign, not necessarily just with carving, but the more things you add to it, generally the better it'll look, unless it's too busy. But this one is just a really simple, cool looking sign with a border. Now, once the initial carving was done, this is one of the few times that we use this 1/8 inch spiral upcut. We don't use this a whole lot, but we wanted to take everything around those letters down about 3/4 of an inch. And in order to do that, we use the spiral upcut bits. Now the 1/4 inch spiral takes out a ton of wood and it works great, but the problem is it's a 1/4 inch wide all the way down, from the shaft all the way to the bottom cutting surface. So this 1/8 inch spiral is what you want to use if you have some tighter areas, in any sharp corners between the P and the E there, or even inside the O's and the P's, because that 1/4 inch, man, it's really easy to smack something you don't want to hit, and then you have a big chip out of your outset letters. So using this 1/8 inch spiral gives you a lot more options to get that flat background in tighter areas. And then once that's done, then I'm going to take everything else out with the 1/4 inch spiral. And this is the one you want to use if you have a ton of wood to take out, and it works freaking awesome. Now, a lot of people like the flat background look. I'm not a huge fan of it because it's never perfectly flat. It's always got some ridges, and generally there's some sanding you got to do. But for this one, we're going to give it a texture. We're just going to take it down to the depth we need it, which is about 3/4 of an inch. Now, a safety hazard here. You cannot do that all in one shot. So I actually took a ton of time and I went over this multiple times, and I went on 2 or 3 different runs with it. So I took it down an extra 1/4 of an inch each time. You cannot carve 3/4 of an inch out at one time. That bit might break, and if that thing comes up and hits you, it's gonna be a bad day. For the actual texture of the background, Dad's using the 3/8 90-degree bit. Now this bit, it looks really cool when it's all carved. It gives a cool texture. The problem is it's so big that you really do need a big area. If you're carving something small and you want a cool texture, the regular 90-degree bit is what you want. But if you have a buttload of wood to take out, this thing is the key because it goes so much faster, gives a cool texture. Now, one thing Dad did is he actually carved around the outside of all of the letters and then around the inside of the border there first. And then he went in and took everything out. And number one, that gives you room to kind of move that router bit around without worrying about having to hit your stuff. But also, it gives it kind of a cool look. It almost looks like it's 2 pieces put together. The woodpecker's logo, and then that's put on a piece of wood that's the shape of the woodpecker logo. I hope that makes sense, but you'll see what I'm talking about when it's all said and done. It really does look cool, and this bit is a monster. Then once all the carving was done, which took probably about 4 hours between me and Dad, Dad sanded it off with an 80 grit disc on the disc sander to get that color off there, and then a 120 to get it prepped for spray and to give it a good smooth finish. The thing about redwood is if you smack it or you hit it or something like that, it does dent fairly easily, so we wanted to make sure that it had a nice smooth finish. And then we put a ton of clear coat on there. And one thing I love about redwood is how it comes alive when you put your clear on there. Man, this stuff looks nice.
So there it is. We got the first coat on. We're going to spend the next couple days probably getting at least 8 to 10 more coats. I want a really good build up and a really good shine on there, and then we're going to come back and paint those letters. But I'm super happy with the way this came out. It was kind of a collaboration with Ryan and I. We kind of threw out some ideas, different things we wanted to do, but so far I'm loving it. So stay with us and we'll get the painting done.
Now this paint is actually an exterior paint that we got for a sign, I don't know, a couple years ago, and we had a ton of it, and it ended up matching the color of Woodpecker's logo really well. We had some issues with it. We had some orange peel, and we don't know why. I mean, this finish on it was perfect, so I'm not sure why it orange peeled, and to be honest, I almost wish we would have left it natural color, just because I like the look of that better. But when you're making a logo sign for somebody, matching their colors is kind of important. Now we are on our way to Ohio from Las Vegas, and we had a great trip. It was freaking awesome. On the way back, we ended up getting stranded at the airport for about 12 hours, but that's all right. We still had a lot of fun.
All right, here we go.
Wow.
Oh, it's upside down.
Wow, beautiful.
So that's what we made for you.
That is nice.
And that's all freehand carved. We went super deep with it.
That's beautiful.
Kind of our background. This is
logo color.
Yeah, that's pretty close. It's not perfect, but it's pretty close.
It definitely works.
Yeah, and this is made out of 2x6 redwood that we glued. Yeah, that we glued up. This is actually 2x6 redwood from Home Depot.
Wow.
It literally is.
You can't get redwood out here.
Yeah, back there. Yeah, we're in the west, so you can get redwood out there.
Wow, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for all you do.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah,
thank you.
We appreciate you, man. This is
that's beautiful.
We're having a great time. We appreciate you being an amazing host and partner. We love you guys' products, and our customers love your products. Hopefully, we can keep doing it for years.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there you go, guys. That is the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Yeah, so this was all completely carved with the bits that we use exclusively, the Woodpecker router bits, which are phenomenal, the best on the market. Anyway, everything that we use over at the website, makeawoodsign.com. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We love you. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Thank you.